Hello and welcome to G3CXO Photography. My name is Ben, I'm the guy behind it, and you are joining me today on another photo shoot. Today's photo shoot is going to be a light painting photo shoot. That's probably the one I get the most questions about. That is kind of mainly what I specialize in and what I do most of the time. A lot of you are probably asking, what is light painting? Or in the car photography sense, light painting is painting the car with light. Bear with me. The way it works is you're in a dark scene, so not like it is right now. You're in a dark scene and you set a long exposure on your camera, and you use a light wand or a light stick or something like this, which is like a constant light, and you then light up the car, or you paint the car with light. I will show you behind the scenes as much of this as I can, and I will talk about it as much as I can. We're just waiting on that little Abarth. I'll put their Instagram on the screen somewhere to arrive, and we'll be shooting them. A lot of questions I get are, what kit do you use for your light painting? There's a million different ways to externally light a car on a photo shoot. There's a million different ways. I use this. This is not a photography light. This is a LED light bar from Toolstation. They're not sponsoring this. I'm not plugging them. I don't even know if they sell them anymore. I've had this one for years. This is the second one I've had. I actually lost my previous one. I left it. I think I left it on a rally stage. That's the story for a different day. But yeah, this is not a photography kind of specialist light. This is just a standard LED light bar that is a fixed color temperature. It's not particularly massive, but it is bright. So that's what I use for the light. You can go out and you can buy, photography lights and expensive lights. You could buy a strobe, you could buy a constant light, you could buy a studio light, you could buy all sorts. But for me, this was the cheapest way in, and to be honest, it's worked really, really well for me so far. I haven't deviated from it for about 5 years now. I do have other setups, but this is my favorite. This is just the simplest one, easiest to carry. I'll be shooting on a Canon R6, which is what this is being filmed on now, and that will be paired with a Sigma 28mm f1.4. I've had the Sigma 28mm 1.4 for about 2 years now. Just a good focal length for me, works for everything I needed to do. And the Canon R6 does everything I needed to do as well. I used to be one of the people that would, jump from cameras to cameras all the time. I got to the Canon R6 and I haven't felt the need to change. Paired with the Sigma 28mm, it does everything I need it to do. It's a very, very versatile camera and a very versatile lens. But yeah, so we're just waiting on the Abarth to show up and we'll get going. Right, we've got Jordan's Abarth in front of us, and it's now dark. And there's a nice kind of moody sky above it as well with the clouds. We've positioned him with some of these overhead lights, with these lights behind him, because that creates a bit of a backlight across the back of the car there, so we won't have to do that. And I always found when you're light painting cars, it's always really good to have some light source in the picture, so it doesn't look overly fake, and it looks like it is actually meant to be lit up. To start with, we've got the car where we want it, got the camera set up. We're going to go with a 10-second exposure on f6.3. This allows the whole car to be in focus, and ISO 50. So yeah, I've switched it over to manual mode and we've manually focused on the car. And what I like to do, because I don't currently have a remote, because I'm filming on my phone, which is normally my remote, I use a touch shutter, and I just very lightly touch the screen, set it off, and I have it set so there's a 2-second delay. The reason for the delay is so that when I press it, I'm not causing any shake on the camera, or if I do cause any shake, there's 2 seconds to let it settle. And we will switch it over to a 10-second delay after we get the base shots, because that then gives me time to walk up to the car and start light painting. So we do a couple of base shots, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and we'll do 30 seconds. Reason for this is you're better off having more photos than less. Always overshoot. You never know when you might need an element from a slightly brighter photo. Obviously you don't want to go ramping up the exposure afterwards because you might introduce a lot of noise. And it's always good just to have backups. And you know, photos are only 30 meg each. You should have a decent sized memory card that can hold a couple of extra photos. What we're going to do now is we're going to do the first couple of base shots with the lights off. We're going to get Jordan to turn the lights on, and then we'll do our base shots with the lights on too. Again, this is just overshooting. This is just making sure we've got options when it comes to post-production. So we've got Jordan to pop all the lights on for us now, and we're going to do our base shots with the lights on. So we're just going to start with the 30 seconds there, just again to get the base and to get kind of where the lights catch the floor there. That usually, I kind of like how the floor looks with the lights on, and obviously it's been raining a lot today in typical British fashion. One thing to remember, and one little tip, for when you're light painting and night shots in general, and when you're messing around with, you know, extra lights and headlights and other light sources, is you can always bring back the shadows when shooting in RAW, but you can't really save highlights. So if you overexpose the lights, you can't save them. So what I'd like to do is I do one that's slightly overexposed for the floor and for the background, and then I'll do one that is theoretically is underexposed, but for the lights, that's just right. So we've got that at 1.3 seconds at f6.3 and ISO 50. So now that we've got our base exposures, we'll turn the lights off. Okay, so now the lights are off, we've got our base exposures. We will return back to the settings that we think are going to be right for this. I think personally in this scenario, we're going to go with a 15-second exposure, f6.3 and ISO 50. So I'm going to change the shutter delay to 10 seconds. I think this is called a drive mode on Canon cameras, and we're going to change that to 10 seconds, and this will give me plenty of time to make my way to the car and get myself set. So I'm going to start from this side and just get a quick little exposure there, just to start showing the front and to see how it looks with the camera. See how this light, okay, that is pretty good. Oh, it's like I've done it before with an Abarth in grey before. I'm getting a lot of deja vu, yeah. So that was the front exposure. So now we're going to start putting pieces of the jigsaw together. Right, I must admit, a lot of you probably already know this, but I did actually used to have an Abarth in a very, very similar colour to this. If it seems like I know what I'm doing a bit too well, it's because I do know what I'm doing a bit too well with this. This is a pre-facelift though. I kind of prefer. Don't tell my old car that. I'm going to do a couple more around now, just to kind of fill in a lot of these gaps. I'll put it on screen, but you can probably see on this now, this is kind of dark. The wheels are dark, and there's a lot of kind of nasty reflections we're getting as well. But we're going to ramp it up to 30 seconds just to get a brighter image, and we'll see how that looks. A lot of this is going to be about experimentation. Different cars and different colors and different scenarios all react differently. Whilst there is a lot of general kind of rules of thumb you can follow, you have got to experiment as much as you can with this. You don't have to experiment on a nice little car like this. You can, you know, I started out doing this on a Fiat Panda, and that's kind of how I honed in my light painting skills. You know, just do it on your mum's Ford Fiesta, on your mate's Corsa, you know what I mean? Just grab any color car you can and just get out there and practice this as much as possible. That's a lot better. Right, we may have to spin our polarizer soon to cut this reflection out here. That's looking good. So what we'll do now is we will just start filling in the gaps. I'm going to go around the front again. I'm going to go around the side again, do the wheels individually too. And then I'm going to show you one more thing to do, which is called a rim light. And that is a good way of, especially with a darker car, is a good way to separate it from its background. So we're going to go around the front and start coming up here. Right, the next bit we're going to do is called a rim light. This is where you essentially create a light trail around the entire car and create a highlight all around the outline of the car, and I will show you what that looks like now. And this is especially handy to separate the car from its background, especially if you're working with darker backgrounds or if you're working with darker cars. So for example, if you're light painting a black car or a really dark grey car, you will need to make sure you've got that rim light. So this one is showing off all the roof and some of the windscreen there. So that's going to be really handy in post to separate this darker area from the darker sky. Very nice. So we're going to spin the polarizer and we're going to try and cut out that reflection on the sides there that is being caused by the light lighting up the wall. So we've spun our polarizer and we're going to just double check our focus to make sure that I haven't spun the focus ring, and we're going to go and light paint the side of the car now. That hasn't cut out the reflection perfectly, but it's done a good job of cutting most of it out. So now it'll be a lot easier to cut out in post. Oh, that is much better. Lovely. Right, a question I've just had off Jordan, which is a very, very valid question, is why don't I point the light directly at the car? I will show you why. So if I get nice and close now and point this light directly at the car, even with the polarizer, I don't even have to look at this, I know it's going to do it. Even with the polarizer, you're going to get now a white line all the way from there, all the way around to the back of the car. The reason for that is to think about the car as, obviously a lot of shiny cars especially, are like mirrors. So if you think about it, I am pointing this light here, it's going bang straight to the camera. And what that does is it creates that white streak. But if I do that and I turn it away, you don't get that white streak because the light is bouncing that way. And when I light paint, I tend to kind of hold it high and maybe point it away from the camera slightly, and that is what stops those light streaks. It's different with a black car because you need the light streaks to show. Well, there's no color to show, so you need the streaks. So when I point the light the other way now, we won't get that streak. But that's a good little tip, is to point your light source away from your camera and try to light the car that way. Sounds counterproductive, but it trust me, bro science. So there's very different look about it, and obviously very different brightness. But you know, try both, see what works for you, see what you fancy. Right, and one question I always get is, oh, how do you get those fancy streaks behind the car where you do all like lighting and stuff and you write things? And now normally I like to do this with a colored light, but we're going to do it with a white light because that's all I have with me, and I didn't want to walk around town holding what is essentially a lightsaber. It is dark, it is in the city, and people will think I'm Darth Vader. There we go. That looks quite good. Yeah, so normally I do that with a coloured light, just to add a bit of colour to it. But another quick tip you can do. So because we've got lights up there, and we've gone to the other side of the car now, those lights are actually lighting up that back of the car for us. So now we've only got to light up this bit. So that makes our job a lot easier. This is also an opportunity for, if you don't like or don't use Photoshop for whatever reason, or you just want to try and get something really good straight out of camera, if you have your light and you go off the camera, and I'm going to try something go off the camera now, and you have a bright enough light, you kind of light the car up off the camera and you've got a picture pretty good straight out the camera there. And there's no editing involved in that. You don't have to Photoshop yourself out. You don't have to do anything. You just do your usual color grade. But that's also an option. Use the lights that are around you. They're not all evil. Right. We've also heard a lot of cars going about tonight. So if you do hear a lot of random popping and banging, I'm very, very sorry. We don't know what car it is. Sounds like a Golf R. Nearly as yobbo as this. But this is funny yobbo. And I approve of this yobbo. So, taking our first light painting shot, and we can see that the wheels are slightly underexposed. That was mainly down to the way I held the light. So we're just going to go over it again, and we're just going to bring the light a little bit lower, just above the wheels, just to do another exposure. Remember, we're not on a film camera era anymore, we're on digital camera now. We can take as many shots as we want. Like I said, always overshoot. Last thing you want is to go home and not have all the photos you need, because then it's too late. Especially if you're shooting weddings or car events. There we go, that's brought up the wheels. Oh, I've caught my leg in that one, but that's okay because we only need the wheels from that and my leg. Move on to another shot. Right, turn it back off now. My famous last words might actually have just done that in one take. Let's have a look at that shot then. Yeah, the detail shots are a good way to light paint a car without having to mess about with Photoshop too much, and also pull up some lovely little details on this Abarth. For example, we have the front whisker, I believe it's called a whisker. That has been wrapped by Vinyl Works in Dawlish. They've also sorted me out with a little sticker to go there soon with all my branding on. They've actually done a full dechrome on this Abarth, so they've done that front whisker there. They've done the fog lights, the door handles, the boot handles, badges. Every single chrome thing is gone on this, and that will be thanks to Vinyl Works. So that's our first detail shot there. And if you look, I'll put the picture up on screen. We don't need to edit anything out of that. Maybe this bit of water there, but you can do that in Lightroom. But yeah, you know, that's like a straight out of camera, really easy way of learning to light paint without having to mess about with Photoshop too much. So Jordan has just told me that he has recently been sponsored by Auto Glands. So what we're going to do is we're going to squeeze them in to this shoot, and we're going to pop the products down here, and we're going to light paint the products and the car to show off the products. Basically, what we're going to do is, like I said with this, we're going to use the light that's over there, and that is currently lighting up the back of the car and the front sort of 45-degree angle of the product. So we just need to focus on lighting up light, make sure we fill in those shadows, and use the other light in the car park to help us out as a secondary light. And that's probably started to do in the car as well, which it has. There we go. There we go, and that should do the trick. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching that. That is just a quick light painting behind the scenes. It's not really a tutorial, it was more of just a behind the scenes and a couple of tips and tricks. If you want a full breakdown of how to do this and a full like a full lengthy tutorial, just drop in the comments, let me know. If you want to see how I edit those, that could be also another video we could do. That could be kind of part 2 of this. I hope you've learned something, you kind of got something out of that video, and it's not, you haven't been stuck here in the freezing cold for an hour for nothing. But yeah, no, obviously thank you to Jordan for bringing out his lovely little Abarth. There's a lot of nostalgia there for me. By nostalgia, about 4 months ago. But yeah, as you all know, I used to have one of these, and yeah, I kind of knew my way around this a lot more than most cars. But yeah, if there's any more videos you want to see, drop them in the comments, like and subscribe and all that jazz. Helps me out a lot. And yeah, see you in the next video.